Righto, guys and dudes and ladies and fucking zebras. There's a zebra watching. Welcome to the show. I don't know how you can play with those hooves, but hang in there, man. It's a lot better than being in the Serengeti. Welcome to Day 9 Daily, Part 3 of Episode 612. We're learning how to be a better gamer. And I don't have any water left, but let me... that was good. That's right, you can see on the bottom that I shop at IKEA. How does a Protoss beat this? Or, more specifically to our question, how does a Zerg lose? Let's take a look. First and foremost, let us note the art of timings. Once upon a time, in the bottom right, there was a Zerg player named Scarlett, and she was renowned in all the land, and especially in Canada. We are seeing a different opening. It is not fast Zergling speed. It is something slightly different. However, let us refer back to our timings. At 310 in part 1, we said that's when a player who went forge first, cannon, and walled off his whole entrance before building a nexus. 310 is when it would be done. 4 minutes is when a typical early expander would be able to wall this off. And at 420, a player who went for gateway first, that is when he would be able to get his mothership core up. So great. So Scarlett moves up on up here. And alright, got him. Easy peasy. Clearly economic play. We see drones being produced. Only 11 drones right now, but Queen is out. Injects are incoming. And yeah. Hero's in pretty bad shape. Does have a wall off up. Dealing that damage. Okay, so what does this game have to do with the last game we watched? I'm here to answer that question because the question is literally typed in the chat. Well, not literally, more or less. Look, I don't even have the chat open. This is a recording. No, seriously, someone said it in the chat. That was an awfully weird series of digressions. What does this have to do with the last game we watched? The last game began with a question. The last two parts, but all built around the question: can these greedy Protosses be punished with early Zerglings? Speed Zerglings was one way to do that. 10 pool is one way to do that. We are now seeing the same general outcome. We don't have hardly any drones, but our opponent doesn't have a base. We are going to see Scarlett perform virtually the same follow-up with all this in mind and be pretty damn fine. No gas was burned on Banelings. But still, because we are kind of in a two-base situation where everyone's a little low econ, going for third base doesn't quite jive as strongly as going for a more gas-focused strategy. We can use these Zerglings to continually delay this, to continually do scouting. Zergling speed is the first choice. And what came next on this laundry list of gassy things? Well, there's some good scouting en route from Scarlett. Just checking up on the timing of this. Great. Well, hey, layer. Hey, evolution chamber. Nice. I remember those. More gas geysers are coming on up. I thought I recalled something like burrow being a next step transition. Ah, well, I'll just tell you that that does happen. First, a little bit of Zergling attack upgrade. How cool. How cool is this? Now, to note, I'm going to actually stop at the 8-minute mark. 8-minute mark. Go, 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 go. Protoss doesn't have anything, man. Adding on Phoenixes. Warp gates. Coming in not particularly large numbers. Gas, super late. Super late gas. Super duper late. So all these sort of theories that we were sort of working with before, all gonna work now. Going for lings and an infestation pit. Sending some Zerglings forward. You know what would be great is if we had non-stop spotting on that third... Oh, we can get Burrow. Yeah, I remember that guy. Burrow. Scarlett got Burrow a little earlier on Akalon Waste because it's a little easier to get an early third in the position HerO was in. Here, HerO is just going to be in a little bit more of a screwed position. He has to stay back longer, so we can delay the Burrow sort of accordingly. And it's a Spore Crawler Fiesta. I can't quite expand yet. Dude, my mouse. I gotta stop hitting this button. Usual attempts from the Zerglings to run on by. And, yeah, it's basically the same thing with a lot more losses of drones. Very often players will actually go Spore Crawler here. So we can see that Scarlett has just generally been delayed a little bit. Burrow's going to be going down very soon. So I think that your reasonable question of the hour, how does Protoss deal with this? What goes wrong for Scarlett? Well, the big thing that goes wrong for Scarlett... Oh, by the way, Burrow on the infestors. Super cheeky, super awesome. Super fun. So the error in this sort of position, that's very easy to make, is to just sort of be like, well, went for 12-minute hive last time, I'm going to go for 12-minute hive this time. We are not up against a fast third. We're up against kind of actually quite a slow third. Oops. Yeah, so here's the ultra-fast hive. Scarlett now knows that there's this sort of expo coming up, but the macro hatch needed to come down first. I mean, hive will come eventually, but there's not going to be a huge force coming late. There's going to be a middle-ishly sized force coming in sooner. So suddenly, as Scarlett's trying to build all this stuff up, it's very easy to, like right here, at 1150, I think is when we'll do it. Right here, this is when it's like, all right, go for extra macro hatch. Go for extra infestors. I would actually not mind a baneling nest at all, because really the only thing we're going to lose to is a push with a whole lot of Zealot Archon. Which, by the way, we can see a lot of the Zealots getting built on up. But instead, going for the hive, kind of teching up, not really getting as much focus on the production capacity, and then just spreading out a little bit too thinly is really what goes wrong. So when all this stuff gets caught off guard, notice that this is not actually a really huge force. This is not a huge amount of stuff. Actually, hell, maybe these 3 spine crawlers should have gone up before the hive too. Definitely the macro hatch at the very least. And everything gets totally caught off guard, lifted, not a huge force, but still more than enough to sort of bust on in. And our Zerg gets caught with the proverbial pants down right before Ultra Cavern. And see, getting this Ultra's Cavern earlier wouldn't have helped. I mean, we're getting 5 Ultralisks now, but better to get the Ultralisks later, set up the needed defense, than to, you know, lose the whole game. So there's a number of ways to deal with this as Protoss, like delaying the... this is actually going to be a short, clean daily. You can do things like you can delay the push. Going for the Zealot Archon mix is great. Make sure to have a couple sentries in there, just in case of banelings. And get a Colossus and push with a huge army. Doing the push, doing the... What do I think about Warp Prism counterattacks? Because that's totally reasonable too. Yeah, Warp Prism counterattacks are going to be great. just generally speaking, against an infestor-based army. But there's really two ways to deal with it. One is to push sooner to get out the big old push with Jesus, I'm rambling all over the place. Ooh. By the way, I didn't sleep very much last night. I couldn't sleep. I was trying to lie down. The cats of Tristan. They're so affectionate. Also, there's totally something messing with the tracking on this mouse. I'm gonna blame humidity, man. It's too humid here. Can't remember what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. In general, if you are up against a player who is emphasizing lings and infestors and ultras and de-emphasizing things like roaches and hydras, going for a lot of upgrades is really, really, really important. Getting the +1/+1 on armor and attack. Oh, by the way, I remember someone once asked me, well, what about getting the upgrades on shields? Because the Archons can make big use of that. Archons generally won't actually get hit with so many Zealots being out on the field. So it's more important to get the attack upgrade up in the armor, because Zealots can make more use of the armor. God, my brain just could not handle an hour of daily. What are we talking about? So that's good. Going for very fast attacks. There's like 2-1 attack timings with War Prisms that are good. Or just doing the simpler, waiting for the huge army ball, making sure that you have Zealot Archon with Immortals, and just a couple storms. Not too many storms. It's really easy to overvalue storms and be like, I have 7 Templar. That's great against Terran, not as good against Zerg. That's good. We're going to take questions, because I'm rapidly fading. Drodo says, Dear Day 9, shall I get more Archons by DTs to conserve gas and ultimately get more of them? Or should I favor High Templar for a healthier Zealot count? High Templar for a healthier Zealot count. Done. Or High Templar for a healthier gateway count. Want to have lots of gateways up. Little Big 11 asks, why the hell aren't people getting Adrenal Gland? I will never know. I will never know. Well, we're opening up the subscribers off chat. To recap, style from Scarlett involves early Zergling pressure. It will limit Scarlett on base count, but that's okay, because it provides a big window of freedom to do whatever, because there's really no way that the Protoss player can attack us profitably as long as we're staying on 2 base and going for gassy based things. Why am I using a green screen? Well, because last weekend was the King of Palantir tournament that I went up and casted for. Just a for-fun tournament. Tristan was there, and I went to hang out with Tristan, and I was like, I'm going to stay here. I'm just going to fly out of here on Thursday for the Orlando training grounds. And I'm tired. Listen to this throat. Listen to this throat. Drodo says, Dana, what should the Vipers aim for abducting? Viper Abduct is not very good against this mix because there's just too many targets. You have a lot of Immortals and Archons and Zealots. So if you like pull an Archon, there's a ton of Zealots already at the front line, so most of your units are auto-targeting the Zealots, and I mean, you're bringing the Archon close to the Zealots anyways, so it's actually does not do very good. Necrosapiens says, it seems as though pacing seems to be key in a lot of situations. How do you judge when to apply pressure and when to back off? Very simply, from the Zerg point of view, you don't really apply a lot of pressure into the late game. If you see the Protoss player expanding and teching, then you, the Zerg, tech more aggressively and expand more aggressively. If you see the Protoss player not doing that, if he's trying to put on some attacking moves, then what you do as the Zerg is you expand less, you tech more slowly, and you build up a bigger army and more defense. And that's it. Cadencido says, what is the slogan of the Day Knights? Go forth and be awesome. Ricer Car SC says, I've always liked this kind of aggression in the early game, but it always seems sort of all in. How does there transition out of that kind of push if the aggression is completely shut down? Is there any sort of way to get out of ling-based aggression without cutting drones and just dying? I think the part 1 look is probably going to be the most useful for that. We already know it will not ever get shut down by a gateway first player. If the player goes gateway first, he just doesn't have enough stuff to take his expand quickly. We can mess with that nonstop. If he's going for a forge first type play, he literally cannot get a sentry up in time. So our Baneling bust is guaranteed to bust and for us to get in. So the answer is not how do I recover if it gets completely shut down. It's how do you structure it so that you just don't get completely shut down. And that is the answer. Let's take one more. Sure, from Starscree, who says, I really want to know why there are no Mutalisks for harass. Tell me. There's two answers. One is that it's totally acceptable to go Mutalisk harass with this opening. Totally reasonable, solid opening. You will probably run into Phoenixes every now and again, but a player who's going Phoenix won't have a lot of extra minerals to do stuff, so you can like double expand in that spot. The other answer is if Scarlett did go Mutalisk, would be completely unable to go for infestors and tech up to Hive and get all these other nice upgrades. Mutalisks do take quite a lot of gas. I'm done. I'm gonna go get some tacos. Tacos sound good. Cheers, guys. Show is over. You're all wonderful.